Then they remembered his words and returned from the tomb. And they told all this to the 11 and to all the rest. Remembering brought recognition that they were to be looking for the risen Christ, not the dead Christ. In that moment of remembering, but Jesus had set awakened in them a new reality. Remembering created a space for recognizing and having faith in the truth and the promises of the living Christ. We all need help remembering, don't we? I have lost count this week how many times I've left one room to another room and forgotten why I went. You know the story, right? You get up, you go, why am I here? And you have to retrace your steps, go back to where you started, you go, oh, that's right. I went to get whatever. We need help remembering. Think of the number of things that are in the marketplace to help us to remember. What would life be like without Post-it? Without calendars and journals that we can list all the things that we need to do. The endless apps that are on our phones. We need help to remember. How successful are your grocery shopping expeditions when you leave your list at home? I remember a time many years ago, my first hubby and I, we wanted some oyster stew that night. And we had nothing in the pantry to make it. So off in the car we went to Hy-Vee. And we did our shopping, we paid our $40, got home with our couple of bags. We unloaded the bags and we both burst out laughing. We didn't get a single thing for oyster stew. How does that happen? We had 2 bags, we spent $40, we still had nothing for oyster stew. We need help remembering. And God knows that. He gave the Israelites the Passover meal and commanded them to celebrate it every year, to remember what he had done for them, to deliver them from slavery. And Jesus, while celebrating the Passover meal on Holy Thursday, gave us the words of institution that we hear every week we come to the Lord's table. Jesus said, "This is my body given for you. Do this for the remembrance of me. This cup is the new covenant in my blood, given for you and all people for the forgiveness of sin. Do this in remembrance of me." Remembering and recognition are key elements to our faith. The women did not recognize what the empty grave meant until they remembered the words he told them. As soon as they remembered what Jesus had said several times when he said, "The Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by elders, chief priests, and scribes, and be killed, and on the 3rd day be raised," they recognized what the empty tomb meant. Jesus was not dead, but risen and alive. With this new reality, they immediately returned to tell all of the others. It says, "And returning from the tomb, they told all this to the 11 and to all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of Jesus, of James, and the other women with them, who told this to the apostles. But these words seemed to them an idle tale, and they did not believe them." Just as it was for the women initially, the rest of the disciples are confused, they doubted, and could not believe what they heard. They could not believe what they were told. Their remembering and I need to see it with my own eyes? Or you take what you've heard and take it and think about it and ponder on it and maybe do your own investigation? It says, but Peter got up and ran to the tomb. Stooping and looking in, he saw the linen cloths by themselves. Then he went home, amazed at what had happened. Peter needed to see for himself. He needed to have his own experience with this. Like the women had their own experience. And that experience awakens a belief into a new reality, because belief occurs at this intersection of remembering and resurrection, of recognition. Faith happens. Belief happens at the intersection of remembering and recognition. That is the dynamic life of faith. It's holding in tension the unbelievable, the impossible, with the possible. The women shared their experience, and as we read, not everyone they told believed them or understood. And that's okay, because that is our human reality. That's our human condition. That we arrive at the intersection of remembering and recognition differently, which translates into varying degrees and depths of faith that we all have. We are all created by God with hearts to seek something greater than ourselves. That is all innately in us, to seek something greater than ourselves, but our path to that faith is different for each of us, just as it was different for each of the disciples that resurrection morning. Because a life of faith is a dynamic tension between the impossible and the possible. Some days in our earthly journey, the earthly realities can cause the impossible to completely overshadow the possible. Some days are so hard and so dark that we only see the impossible. We can't see the possible. That was the reality for the disciples. And that was the reality for the women at the tomb, until someone reminded them of the words of Christ. Reminded them of the possible. That was the reality for the disciples until the women reminded them of the possible. That Jesus was not dead, but was alive, just as he had told them many times over. We need each other to remember and recognize the promises of God in our midst. The blessings of today are memories of tomorrow. Sometimes we forget those things the farther we get away from them. Remembering and recognition are key elements to our faith. Remembering brings recognition of the risen Christ in our lives. It awakens a belief into a new reality. One of the best memory aids on the market is not Post-it notes. It is our Bible. Our Holy Bible. Because how can we remember the promises of God if we do not regularly read about them? How do we recognize God in our day, the presence of Christ and the power of the Holy Spirit, if we do not learn what it looks like? Because God's activity in my life is different than your life. And so when we come together in worship and we share these stories of what God is doing in our world, we all get a bigger vision of the possible. The impossible starts going down, the possible starts rising just as Jesus did. We need each other, because sometimes reminds us that it's there. Can we see it? It takes intentionality. Yesterday I had an amazing day. For about 2.5, 3 hours yesterday morning, I sat in silence in the beautiful sunlight and revisited all the prayer cards I've received since last Easter, and all the prayer cards that were stuck to the nails on the cross, over 50 of them between two congregations, and I prayed over every single one of them. What that allowed me to do is to remember the struggles that you had. It reminded me of the triumphs you had had. And it reminded me of God in the midst of all of it. In the answered prayers, the unanswered prayers that were answered maybe even better than we prayed. In remembering comes recognition of Christ, the risen Christ, not the one that was dead in the tomb, but the risen one, the one he promised to be 3 days after. We need each other. We need the remembering.